the A side of the map, so that's upper A and lower A. I don't know if you guys agree you price a lot on lower A now, I heard, but I think so because of the timing, you get here a little bit faster on your certain side.
You have
That and right peak.
And the most important part for me, which a lot of people don't utilize, is that when you're in Cerns on Alpha, you only really need to play one guy, and you can get out on balcony and you can ignore Alpha. As security, you can't really get out on balcony with only one guy and ignore Alpha, because if they stay inside, you gotta get inside to block it. On this side, you don't have to cap Alpha. It's like you don't have to go to Alpha on in certain side district, right? Like you never have to go there. It's the same here technically. You don't need to send a guy up here, but you do, because if you don't send them up, they can just run out the balcony because they know it's clear. But what I mean is you don't need to have anyone inside of here, so you got the freedom of moving out of balcony and ignoring Alpha, while security doesn't, which I think is very, very strong. If security want to play bulk heavy, they need a guy inside Alpha as well to block off the A-cap. On the other hand, security can fake Charlie really, really nicely, and one of my preferred methods of just playing pugs and shit in general is trying to bait them into thinking you have a C player 1 or 2 rounds, and then you stop playing it for quite a lot of rounds. So just as very good tactics. Now it used to be a lot darker back here, but you can still like bait it out basically. There are definitely a few good spots where you simply just get into all these kind of different corners. You can, there are many different ways, but a standard one that I might do an early round is usually, like say it's the first round on district. So the thing is, the less you can play down on Charlie as security, the better if they send someone down there. If they don't, then you get a free cap. But if they do send someone down there, if you can have him sit down there without actually like doing anything, then that's perfect. The problem is if you leave Charlie open fully, he can obviously run through, right? And you don't want the flanker. So the problem is, the way to deal with that is on the first rounds, make them scared of going there. So you can, for example, have your Charlie guy go here, throw a nade down the middle, and right after you throw the nade, you can just take a right here. Or you can do it up on Alpha as well. So you can have 2 guys on start of Alpha, and then you can go here, and you can hold this off for the first round. And depending on what happens on the map, if everyone just starts dying on your team, then you kind of have to get on Charlie, and probably it's going to be blocked, but otherwise you'll just have to go for the kill. But a lot of times if it's even, or you know, if you're in a win, you just sit here and the guy is probably going to push you, right? Especially if it's like the first or second round. After a while, when it's been 20 seconds or so and the guy on Charlie haven't met any resistance at all, he's going to start pushing. Trust me, like this, I've played a lot of Charlie and it's just going to happen. They're going to come running here and you get an easy pick. That means that the next round you probably want to go down again in some way. Either you rush it instantly, or like these stairs, and then you can slide down here. They won't really see you unless they're really looking for it. And you can just prone here. And then you can keep an eye on that, but otherwise I usually stay here and keep an eye on this. And it's the same thing. You're not on the point, so he doesn't know you're in here. That's a crucial mistake. You can't run up like this, because now he's know you're here and he won't rush you and you won't get a free kill. And you won't scare him for the next rounds. But if you're playing 2 rounds in a row where you're not on the point and you're waiting back in the dark for him to rush you, the 3rd round, the 4th round, the 5th round, you don't really have to go here. Because even after 30 seconds or so, by him sitting back here or fucking trying to push, it takes a long time to push through Charlie and clear everything. And he will be extremely afraid because you could be in any of these corners all the way in the dark. Like, I've had pugs where the person just won't stop pushing me, and I got like 8 rounds in a row, I get a kill basically. It's not a free guy, and as soon as you get the kill, you just cap the point. But basically, trying to bait Charlie is something that security can do, but Insurgents can't. And the same kind of on Alpha, but it's not really a bait. It's just that's the advantage of not having to defend the point, which Insurgents have the advantage on here, and security down here. Yeah, Ally.
Yeah, quick question about that. What are your thoughts on just tapping it to bait it? And also that way you'll definitely have intel on whether or not they're running through. Like, on one hand, they'll know somebody's around Charlie, or was around Charlie, but like, you could tap it, and then step off, and they won't necessarily know that you're on the point still. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, I understand. I could see something like sliding through here, and then of course when you're around here, you're gonna automatically tap it, and then you can just go up here. But I don't see exactly what it accomplishes, except the same thing with holding back.
Well,
yeah,
I'm thinking you can see when he is pushing.
Right, exactly.
If he immediately runs onto C, you won't see that anyway. And Z will just have given away that you're there and won't gain any information out of it. Because as soon as you step off, it will decap.
Yeah. But you will. You'll see if they... Never mind.
Yeah, no, I get the point.
Oh, yeah, you will see if there's actually someone in C. No, it's a reasonable point.
It's a good, like, if you're staying back here, you don't know if they have anyone on C, so that is the negative point. That the thing is, if you go down here and you play very passive like this, and they don't have a C player, that's a bad thing for you, because you've just been sitting down here doing nothing. But the thing is, like, the first 2 rounds or so, most of the teams are gonna have a Charlie player on your certain side, because if they don't, then they're just losing a free Charlie cap because most people step on Charlie early as security.
Well,
So-
it's also taking the other added benefit of it is it'll ease up the pressure for the other people. If they weren't planning on playing somebody Charlie, it'll bring somebody or two people down to Charlie also. Kind of a, I don't know.
Yeah, but the problem becomes then if you tapped it the first round or even tapped it the second round, and you don't do that on the third and the fourth, they will assume that you're not down here because you haven't baited them before with the whole baiting back in the dark thing. If you tap it like the first 2 rounds and do the tap thing, and you leave, that he's gonna be like, he left Charlie, he's not on it anymore. Because they know that, of course. If they're on it and you're not on it, they know you left. They might still think that you're back here, but after a while they will probably start pushing because they think you left it, which you actually did. So you didn't really bait them in that way if you're leaving it. However, if you are running on, if you could run on, I guess, and then tap back and fall back and wait for him to decap, and then you can hold back here. That could also work for sure. And now they're gonna be.
That's what I was
that's
saying.
what he was suggesting. Yeah.
Okay, I thought you meant leaving it afterward. Okay, yeah. So you can run on, tap it,
No, yeah.
and go back because then you'll, exactly. Then you kind of force them down there. That's a good idea as well.
Yeah.
But if you do
then-
that, exactly. If you do that say you do that the first 2 rounds though, if you don't go even because the one of the thing that I want to accomplish is that you don't even have to even go down here on the 4th or 5th, and if you tap it both of the first 2 rounds, and then you don't go down at all, it's not going to be tapped, and maybe that guy will think, well, this time he's not on it at all, or something like that.
So
But
the first round you tap it, so they think, well, we've got to send someone there. Next round,
Yeah, I
they're
think that's
probably going to send someone anyway, so you don't tap it next round, but you
Yeah.
still hold back. Then the third round, they'll be like, well, he's probably just sat back there still. So I think
Yeah.
for the first round, it's really good because you. Get
I agree, actually. That's nice because then you'll notice if they haven't decapped it within, say, 10 seconds, then you, like, say you run up here. I would say this is probably the safest way to tap without getting killed or something. So you just run up, tap, and then backwards again, and you can hold any of these angles. You can even like go back here, which is a little bit more aggressive. You see more, but it's also a bit less safe. But basically, yeah, I like that idea. Like do it on the first round so that you don't accidentally sit down here with a free cap in front of you, but you're not taking advantage of it. Because if they haven't decapped that tiny bit you just tapped within 10 seconds, you step on it, and maybe they ran some kind of A strat or some shit. I like that. That's good idea. I like. But I do think also, as Shield maybe said on the second round, it's a good idea to not tap it because then you get the psychological advantage of them never really knowing if you're on it. If you always tap it, they're gonna be that one time you don't, they might, even if they shouldn't really. If I were the guy playing against someone tapping all the time and all of a sudden they didn't tap, I wouldn't immediately think he's not there. But a lot of people would actually think that. They would be like, oh, they haven't tapped Charlie, okay, this time he's not going to be down here. And then he'd rush through and then you get flanked. But maybe first round tap, second round don't, and third, fourth, fifth, play something else, and then depending on what they've done down there, you can go down there again and maybe tap it for 6 or 7 rounds. But basically, that frees you up for having 2 guys on alpha later. So what I like to do is having a standard 1 guy A, 1 guy C, 1 guy lower A, 2 guys B. But the guy C is only really playing C about 3 times on the security side. First, second, and whatever you feel like, 6 to 7 rounds. And after that, he can help out the A guy by simply staying inside so that the A guy can push balcony. Because everybody obviously realizes how important balcony is for B control and for the whole map. I think this is the strongest power position in the whole game, to be honest. Like much stronger than Apsis on District or balcony. Like if you get the balcony on Ministry and you're uncontested from here, then the B guys can't really do anything about it. You feel like a total bitch on B, unless you're outside and you're pretty safe if you're sitting out here. Otherwise,
you're trying to look through windows to clear B.
Yeah, like I'm from what I noticed in scrims, like in high-level scrims, oftentimes the team with the best Balk player has often won. Definitely, like some of the best teams, like why they have won is oftentimes they had the best Balk player. So, very very important position. Or lower alpha as well. If you got a good Balk player and a good lower alpha, and they both push for balcony control, then it's pretty damn good if they can get control of it. But yeah, so that's a standard, as I said, same as on other maps, like the C guy is more of the joker, but we'll say that he's the C guy, but that does not mean he's gonna go C every round. Okay, so quickly on the other side then, what you can do to prevent this thing of sitting... Fuck, I can't no-clip on this map, I get lost. Okay, let's see, down here, Charlie, come on. What you can do to prevent this typical thing, then if they're smart and do kind of similar, and you're like running back here and you're, I don't know, trying to hold this Charlie, and nothing happens, and you're like, well, I technically don't want to run through because I don't know if he's back there. To prevent this, basically, if you don't want to get baited down here without them having anyone, you can start out by playing either alpha or especially lower alpha. It's a bit simpler. So you can kind of help out your lower A guy by pre-firing in the middle, throw a grenade, pre-fire in the middle, sit here, just hold the middle for a while so that this guy knows he can't get flanked. And as soon as you step on Charlie, then you can move down. because the good thing here is you get a super strong right peak, and even before when it was left peak, I still like to play this, because oftentimes if you're on lower A and they tap Charlie, they won't. Well, they will have time to run all the way here, but they won't really just run through like this. It's extremely uncommon that they will just fucking run through and then watch the stairs. So most of the time you will have time to get down here without them already being here, but you still want to take it a bit safe. Then you just move around and see how far up they might have moved. Most of the time they're gonna be still on their side because they just got on. Then you just get into this corner or any kind of position you like here. All of these are pretty good. I just like it. You want to line obviously everything up with one angle. You don't want to sit like this, because then you got this and this and this to watch. You want to line everything up with one angle like this. That applies to many other situations as well. Not only this. Line it up like so. So that's a very strong way to play against a team that doesn't play much Charlie. Basically, to play against ourselves. If we're gonna do this security thing, to play the best counter against that is to simply not put anyone on Charlie on the certain side either. But you need to have someone being able to rotate pretty quick. The other way you could also have, but I don't like putting away power from B. That's why. So you could have a guy like, you know, in some way holding this, and he can also rotate to C pretty quick. But two things are pretty bad with that. First of all, taking away power from Bravo is less good than taking it away from lower Alpha, in my opinion. And second of all, oh god.
In tunnels, can you shoot through that wall that was separating you?
This wall?
Yeah.
Oh, this in the middle?
Yeah.
No, it's thick. But you can, however, wall bang from like you can learn wall bangs from like corners here, for example, and wall bang through to hit them running through that door. That's very possible and very easy to do. So you can learn that. It's pretty good. But the other problem is getting through here is pretty bad to block. Like, I don't like blocking it. Overall, as a Charlie player, I do not like to block B on this side overall, especially not early game. I prefer to both be on this side and on this side. It's just closer to this. You're not as far pushed in, and overall it's just like so basically rotating for tunneling here to block is a lot less safe. You're gonna have to go around this corner, and he could see you wherever he is. On the other hand, coming around this corner is a lot safer. So that's just my point of it.
One of the strats I run for defending C on pubs is I go through tunnel, and if nothing happens on C, I go to outside B. And if something does happen on C, I run all the way through tunnels. And I get to see if there's someone on their B stairs.
Yeah, well. But that's true. But a lot of teams will play someone here in the tunnels. And as in certain side, you can't really run through because you could just fuck from. Well, I don't know. You could just fuck by this guy easily. There's nothing really you can do against the security guy sitting here. As soon as you come around the corner, he got like a head glitch on you there. It's very, very difficult to see. It's pretty common that people do this in comps. If you haven't played tunnel in Pugs yet, I'm sure some of you have, then you probably have gotten killed by that guy or done it yourself. But yeah, I mean, it's valid, but it's not a safe strat to block Charlie, I wouldn't say. If they step on Charlie, you can't. It's not a reliable strat to say, like, okay, well, our tunnel guy, he's gonna flank all the way around here and get all the way through here. It takes a long time to run, and obviously a lot of teams have a guy down here, and I think we're gonna have a guy down here. Especially, like, he's gonna push up here later, and he's gonna hear someone come behind. It's just a little bit less unsafe, but it's possible, but it's not like a blocking strategy. That's a very offensive strategy, maybe to flank them. So yeah, I mean, that's the basic gist of it. I'm just have two guys have very good synchronized play on B, and they can work together. You have like a, you know, if it's Fenris playing B, then obviously, which I don't think he will, but if it's Fenris playing B, then obviously like he's gonna call most of stuff. But if he's playing the A side, there should be a secondary caller on the B side, because Fenris should not have to. These guys should like basically always go to B in some way. They have multiple options. They can both go for the B main. They can go for tunnel. They can go outside. You know, multiple ways. So they call their own side of the map. They're not that dependent on the alpha. Well, they are super dependent on the alpha guys, but their strategies, from what I have played and seen, it's not like these doesn't have to work with each other that much. It's not like the B guys doesn't need to really know what the balcony guys are gonna do, except reception. It can be nice for a B guy to know, hey, will you guys play reception? Because if they won't play reception, then an enemy player could technically come up here and just fuck you going on to, you know. Yeah, we're gonna go with call us as well. S1, I guess, no T1. So, but otherwise, definitely this is important on this map to have a caller and a guy who talks with the second B guy, and the guy calling his stuff on A, he calls for the A, C, and the lower A things as well.
Yeah, I think you mentioned it there just now, but I'd like to get away from using the numbers on those planters, because I never remember which one's which. That's
up to you to decide. I mean, if you want to change, it's other teams have done it. We have done it. We had, as I said before, in Road, planter, main. I mean, main or main, it didn't really matter. If we said main planter, but usually main is enough. But planter, main, window planter, windows. That's really what we call it. We found that easier than doing the number thing. Like too many numbers confuse things for us. And then we just run with R's and theirs, which is not optimal, but we just found it simpler than having to figure out in the middle of the heat when you're getting out, or if you have flanked someone here and then you're coming back out, and then you're like, wait, which side am I on? Which one is T? Terrorist side? It's like it's like which fuck side is terrorist side? It's just much easier to keep track of which side is actually yours. I find that easier, but that's up to you guys. We can do that now if you guys want. Should we decide? Anyone? Let's just see who's like screams the loudest. Basically, do people want T1 or do people want different callouts?
I like the numbers.
Yeah, I prefer the different callouts.
I like T1 and stuff, but if we can come up for a callout, then that's fine.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, okay. It sounds like the general consensus is. Yeah, I mean, I think Windows is a pretty set staple. There's no real reason to change that, right? It can be inside Windows, outside Windows. But then the plans is up to you what you want to call them. Main is also, I don't see a reason to change main if nobody else sees a reason to, like just the main towards main is where
you got main and then main planter. Got bout planter, which is the square one.
Wait, what? Wait.
Not like,
to the right.
No.
That one.
No, I don't like having
Because
this.
you say Balk, people's eyes are on Balk, not.
And also planter, like I think this should be a separate thing if you want to call. We called it dirt. We just called it dirt. I think it should be a separate one if you want to. Also, by the way, it's pretty good. No, you can cap from here. I do it quite a lot. If you need a bigger view onto stuff, like being in here, sure, you're safer, but you also got no fucking view of where they are. It's not a practice, but if you're feeling a bit more ballsy and you want to pick them up as they come in, you can see everything on Broad, and you can cap at the same time.
Quick question: is it more the numbers that you guys are struggling with, or the remembering S and T? Because I would be a bigger.
T is difficult, but like I started with T1, T2, T3, and so on in TA, and I still can't remember what is what. Like I know the sides, yes, but like the numbers, it's like.
For me, it's the opposite. Numbers are super easy. Yes, the one is the closest. You start from the balcony side. Yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's just start from balcony and go outwards. But I found the size a bit confusing.
My biggest problem is I'll run there and I'll see it and I'll know it in my head and I'll just yell the wrong one by accident because it's just a number.
I was just wondering if it might be easier to stick with like our B1, our B2, and our B3 versus their B1, because you know B for point, where it's the Bravo side, and then 1, 2, and 3 is just the planters from balcony to outside, just like
that's an option as well. I've always been I've always been for having as few similar callouts as possible on every map. That's why we talk about stage as well, having multiple alleys. I don't like that, even if you distinguish them. That's the reason I don't like the T system at all on any map. They run it on height. Well, they used to run it on heights. Bunker and shit was called like T1, T2, and stuff like that. But that's pretty dead right now. But and on district, it's just implanted. If I made them up myself, I probably would never have used T1 and T2. I just don't like having similar sounding callouts. S1, T1 sounds very, very similar to me. I like different callouts.
Should we go for different callouts and then have numbers as well?
I was gonna say, so to my point, ours and theirs should be the first thing. That at least gets you to which half of Bravo to look at. And so I think that's a good thing. And then as far as how to distinguish the planters, like if you say our B, people are gonna know they're on one of the planters, and then they can process out 1, 2, and 3. It's like a sequential thing.
Yeah, that could work. Yeah, maybe you don't even have to call. You can maybe just call numbers. I mean, numbers aren't really called anywhere else. You can say R1, R2, R3. I mean,
yeah.
You don't technically have to put a label in front of it. We don't need to label stuff here, guys.
Yeah.
I'll go with. I'll try R1, R2, R3, and there 1, there 2, R3. I'll give that a try.
Anyone else? Any ideas? I think that could work. I can see this work. Actually, you guys could work with that. And I mean, obviously in the beginning, people are still gonna call T1 and S1 a little bit, but try to transition towards R and there. Okay.
You'll just hear me going, there's a B.
Okay, while we're on the callouts thing, it's a very, very small map. I mean, very, very few callouts on the map. What you probably want to call it for this. We call it dirt. Do you like that, or are you gonna use it? I suggest nothing. As Elias said, nothing with Balak and nothing with planters.
Yeah. Okay. They're dirt now. Dirt.
Yeah. Balcony is just our side balcony, their side balcony. Like no one in real matches is very, very rare that they're gonna stand up here unless they're bad players. So when you're calling our side, their side is usually in the stairs. So you technically don't have to call our balk stairs. That's like a little bit long. It's nothing wrong with it, but don't feel like you have to. If you call our side balk, that is gonna be somewhere from here towards here anyway, and very few people like will stand here. And if they are, you say mid balk. So, and even if they're here, you can also say mid balk. It's fine. It's like our side and their side. It's these stairs. That's the stairs that meet our side with their side. Reception, right? I mean,
Yep.
Yep. And then just lower alpha. These are very, very unimportant, really. But if you have to call out, you just say lower alpha short, lower alpha long. But it's extremely rare that you have to. Maybe like if you run through here and then, oh fuck, he's prone lower alpha. You know. No one should really refrag you on lower A that often anyway. You're usually pretty lone wolf. So much more important out here though. It's fortunately very simple. But there are a few ones that I like to just differentiate a little bit. Everyone knows long, short, mid. This one, what do you want to call it? It has been called Gaben.
Jesus.
Jesus
Yeah, I was
as well.
thinking Jesus, but
Yep, Jesus. That's good. That's what I heard as well. And then long and short away. But I like to differentiate the two sides of long as well. So what we have called is. I know this is the hole. You can call it hole if you want. We have just had the same on both sides. Library. We call this library, so we just decided to stick with this with library as well, since everything else is ours and theirs. So we just had our library, their library, our bench, and their bench. Because on this side, we just model it after this side, library and bench. On this side, it's obviously very different. You have benches on two sides, but if they are here, we still just call our library and our bench. But you guys, I just suggest having a call out for, especially like this spot and this spot. But it comes down to the whole sides. If someone is prone and someone needs to pre-fire him, then it's good to know where he is.
I think bench and library work.
Or you can call it bench. Definitely, I think you should stick to bench to being the balcony side. But you could call it hole as well. That's up to you. Like it makes more sense, but we just like to have the same call out. It's not.
Well, if you use hole as well, then you don't even have to say they're long.
You can, oh wait, you
just
can't
say
actually.
hole.
Wait. Actually, you can't use hole. That's not a good idea because you have hole.
No.
I know
yeah,
it's.
you got that hole.
I know it's far away, but still, like you can't say like it's a bad idea.
Broken wall.
So I have another option that I think is going to get mixed reviews. Left and right, as stupid as it sounds, assuming that you're not really going to be coming from the long side worrying about those spots.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to be coming from balk or short. So if they're, hole or library or whatever, that will be right side. Good.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you mean. It wouldn't be confusing that often, but do you think that library and bench would be confusing?
It's
to
just
do
more
the
to
left
remember.
to do the left and right though. It's
So-
more computation. It's memory
not.
versus computation.
But just like for the whole thing over there in Alpha Lab, why just
What-
don't call it tin?
What it's like if
There's no tin generally in the map otherwise.
That's true actually. But like with the left and right thing, if you if somebody dies, say long or whatever from that side, and they call like left, but there's somebody behind the guy that they called, the guy that's behind them now has to think, okay, my teammate was the opposite side, so now I have to switch that around, so he's actually right to me.
I think there
I
might
definitely-
show up situations where you're actually gonna get confused by left and right because you're on different
Alright.
sides of it.
Yeah.
I think that could happen.
I'm just trying to think of the number of times where I have been coming from our long onto a guy who is our long and having to worry about which side he's on. I don't know.
In Pugs, I've done that quite a lot because you spawn on A, or you spawn
Okay.
there on A as you're coming up, and you get there before they spawn cap. And
Okay,
if
that's cool.
someone
I
dies,
think
like
it's quite the thing. Like, say you guys had a guy capping B, and obviously since you capped, you're coming out of spawn, you're running like this, coming out, and boom, you're dead because the guy's sitting there. Then you gotta call left and right, and there is a big risk you're gonna call. He's to the right, because these guys coming here, they're gonna come around and look to the right. But this guy who capped B and goes up for block as well, he's gonna come from here. And when you're calling, he's to the right, he's gonna come out and look to the right.
Okay.
Yep, I agree.
So I think that could happen. So I think it's just easier to then remember a simple call out. You can use whatever you want, but as I said, something like bench or similar things. I think that's better because otherwise there will show up situations. I don't think it will be often as I said, but there will come situations where you both squeak in on two sides and you want to call it out.
Well, we should be trying that as often as possible,
Yep,
rather
I
than
mean-
just singly getting the points.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it's not a super important. I haven't had to call it out very often, but it's good to know that he's prone on library or even calling out what you're gonna do because when you are playing two guys out on security, it's good to say, okay, you go library, I'll push balcony because library is pretty strong to just hold from here. You can hold this angle and they can't run down really. So like it's good to be able to call. That's mainly why I wanted to call it, just to like, hey, can you go library? That means that so there's no confusion. So the other guy just doesn't go here and looks mid, and I think that he's actually looking out on balcony and got my back. So
Okay, let's not waste time on it. Libraries and benches.
Let's go with
I
that.
like the idea of calling the other one 10 as well on the other side.
Yeah, sure. 10.
Yeah. I'm
10,
happy with that.
10 in library and bench on both sides. These stairs, stairwell or scissor stairs, or what do you want to call them? I just call them
Just call them
stairwell.
stairs.
Yeah.
Okay, but
I
these
either
are-
say
but
our
these
A
are
stairs or our C stairs. That's how I always do it,
Connector
because
stairs.
that gives you a
Yeah,
little
we
idea.
called it connector and tar back in time.
Yeah, A stairs for me is definitely these stairs. Our stairs
Yeah.
are their stairs, then I'm gonna look at these stairs.
Yeah, connector stairs. That's
I've
what we
always
call
called those
them.
spawn stairs.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
call them spawn stairs as well.
Our
That-
connector, their connector.
Yeah, let's go connector stairs then.
Yeah,
I'm happy with that.
because I think you want to definitely clear up different kind of stairs. There's a lot of stairs
Okay.
in it. But connector
So our
stairs.
connector,
and-
their connector. Just
Yeah.
say connector then.
Yeah, spawn stairs is good, but otherwise, like this
Just
from
are in
what
there.
everyone has used to call. I don't know what people call it now in pugs, but if you like, I'm assuming Murdoch and those kind of guys, you still calls these just our stairs, stairs, stairs. You know.
Yep.
That's what we've always called in all pugs I've played.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much else. Tunnel, our side tunnel, there's a tunnel, stairs, these stairs. It's pretty simple. Outside, you got a hole, you got scaffolding in the middle, right? Or do you just want to call it? I mean, mid B is not that good, and mid outside B is a bit long, so is
I
scaffolding
use
fine?
scaffolding.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
scaffolding. That's good.
I didn't know if it's still active, that call out, but I like scaffolding, it's good. Cool. I don't think you need much else. I mean, there's not that many players playing out here. I know, like, Grinmore likes to go out here and shit, but you could
I
technically
love
just call
playing
hole.
outside.
You can just call hole as well. I mean, if you call it hole, then someone is gonna look out the hole anyways. But I guess if you want to call it for it, you can call bunker or something.
Well, sandbags.
Yeah, sandbags work well. I don't think you're gonna have to call that much. So, pretty much it on call out. Oh shit, Charlie is pretty important actually. This one is the most important with call out in my opinion. Charlie spawn stairs or something like that. This, what do you guys call this? It's pretty important when you need to like spawn camp shit.
Our ramp or their ramp, I think.
Yeah.
Yep, sounds good. Okay, so on to Charlie. I want a call out for, and don't all say it once, I just say what I want to call out for first. I call out for this, I call out for this, call out for this, middle, and I call out for this. And then obviously there, and, well, I mean this area is simple. And then the middle as well. So, I mean, there are some obvious one, of course. You got the container, right? Nobody argue against that.
Dumpster.
For me, red truck is pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the middle you just call mid C or we call it
C,
booth.
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 And,
Yes.
red van and green van.
What?
So red van on the right.
That's red van in front.
Oh yeah, but we were talking about mid
Oh,
booth.
yeah, that's ticket booth, yeah.
Yeah, ticket booth for mid C. Red van, red truck, and container, and I would always call this handicap. I don't know if anyone else has
I've
heard of
already
that.
called it green
Yeah.
van.
I do not like the colors of the cars. There's too many cars down here, and it's gonna get confusing. There's green. So color of vans is a pretty bad idea, except the red ones because they are just so standard. So. Anyone else? Handicap, is it fine? I mean, it's very visual. It's very easy
Oh,
to
yeah.
remember. Okay, so
for English people.
we're done with callouts with that.
How about,
And,
what about the security side left-hand corner on C? Opposite of dumpster.
Here?
When, like blue car?
Oh, yeah, I mean, if you really gotta be specific, yeah, call it blue car, I guess. But otherwise, this kind of area is usually just red van. That's what I meant with this. It's not only on the truck, like if you see here, I would probably call it just red truck, but if someone's coming down and you just got killed, then yeah, you can call this red truck by the green car. Like red truck is more that area, and then see if you want to be specific, it's red van by blue car. We actually call it our wall, their wall. Well, our wall, mid wall, their wall. That's what you use the walls as areas, and then if you had to call out the color. But I think red truck and red van. might
Interestingly
be-
enough, I think that's the only blue car, so why don't we go with blue and red? That way you can do away with the car and van.
That's true actually. Because I never liked the whole thing with two reds, like red truck, red.
Yeah.
Like that can confuse. Well, this one is blue,
Oh,
but
yeah. Oh. Wow.
I don't know. It could still work.
Yeah, we can just remember that blue is security and red is insurgents.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of makes sense. You kind of see that to leave me visually like red is evil, red is insurgents, blue is more like security forces. I mean,
Well,
that's
you
kind
are
of
blue in security.
yeah, that's true. That's true. But I mean, on insurgents you aren't, so that doesn't make sense. Okay, we're done with call it at least. What do we? And we talked kind of quite about how I see like as common play or default basically. Any other arguments on that? Like, do you want one guy less on A, or do you want to leave lower A open, or do you want to have 3 guys on B, or do you think it's enough with 1 guy on B, or do you think that 2B, 1A, 1 lower A one Charlie, with the Charlie guy being a joker and playing a lot of alpha as well. Do you think that's a good idea?
I like going through reception onto their like A-side planter.
Okay,
So,
so
like,
you're,
we
run,
could
you're
play,
running
like-
through here, and when you're coming out, you're going where?
So they're one.
Yeah,
Oh, there.
that
Okay, so
one.
you like this. Oh, wait, fuck, sorry. Okay, so you're on this side, and you like to run to our planter.
No,
So you're on
if he's
security
insurgent,
at the
he
end,
runs into the security site.
Okay, so he runs into this.
Yeah, on the other side of that. So I got a bit of cover from B.
Yeah.
And if we have a guy
Yeah,
in Balk
pretty
who's
cool.
not down, then
You obviously gotta kill. You obviously gotta kill this guy first.
yeah. So I was gonna say like we could have 2 lower alpha, so one to like cover my back, and then well like one to push up 3 lower alpha whilst I get the left hand side.
Yeah, that's up to you what you want to do with the C guy. You know, when the C guy can leave C, then he's free to do kind of whatever you need him to do.
Yeah, we can use the C.
So technically, like on the absolute most default, you want the C guy down there. So technically, you can't really afford to have a second guy down here because who would that be? Obviously, you don't want to lose
It'd be
alpha.
the B player
Okay.
on Insurgents.
Oh, you mean like you're a B player then? Yeah, that's true actually. You can do that because you're kind of like a B player, I guess. But the problem, I mean, is, well, I mean, you know better than me if this works. But I was thinking this guy can't really cover your back when you're out here. Like he can't cover this. What if the guy's, I don't know, maybe people aren't really sitting there.
Flash from then you can.
Yeah, no, I get that. That's up to you. Like you know this better than me probably. So you could try that for sure. Like just have one guy go as an anchor onto B and just hold it while you try to play B there, and then you have a guy lower A. And I mean the guy lower A can probably, if you get the kill, which you probably will pretty often, or die, you can get the refrag, and then this guy can move out of here and maybe even push with you or some shit.
Yeah, the guy behind me on lower alpha would be to make sure that they don't push through like middle lower alpha and come up outside of reception and shoot me in the back.
Yeah, that's true. That's good. And that could even like be the C guy as well. For example, as I said, the C guy can technically,
Stay there for a
yeah,
bit,
he can stay here for a bit, and then after just 10 seconds, after sitting still, he can move down to Charlie, and he's fulfilling the same role because, as I said, the first guy's probably not gonna rush through Charlie, and even if he is, you're kind of gonna hear him coming in these stairs up here anyway if he's rushing that way. So, like, but most of the time they won't just go down Charlie and fucking rush through because it's not capped. Like they're gonna be a little bit curious. So. Then you got time, so you can have a C guy watch behind you. If that's your main concern on lower A, I don't think you need 2 guys down there. I mean, you can just have the C guy watch the back for a while you're pushing out.
Pistol rush C.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
So
As far as the reception guy, the easiest way that I've found always to deal with that is, yeah, even if you are sending one guy reception, have the guy going on B go to hour 1 and go prone, and he can just sit there and watch reception because he usually has a better angle on it.
and it's a really nice one because you see him easily, but the reception guy has a little bit of trouble of seeing you.
Yeah,
You know, you're kind of covered.
It does become cheeky of the usually after 2 they just pre-fire the fuck out of
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
The other thing that I'll do a lot, provided I don't hit any of the lights, which occasionally fucking happens and fucks everything up, is to pre-nade it. Have the B1 guy or the hour 1 guy nade reception, or similarly, if we don't have somebody playing on Balk, I'll typically always, if I'm playing hour 1, which is what I like to do, I'll grab a nade and I'll either huck it in reception or Balk.
Yeah.
But again,
Yeah,
like I
that's
said,
pretty good.
the stupid lights tend to fuck things up.
You can probably, after a bit of training, you can probably learn to never really hit them, but
Yeah.
if you really want to avoid that. That's also a good point, which we brought up when we started, when we went through Ministry with SN before, and we had Jaeger and Meowfuse play on B. We realized that we want our 2B guys to be insanely good at throwing nades. Like, they need to be able to throw nades from here, from there, and not so much from there, but especially from this spot and kind of outside. They need to be able to hit these kind of spots. They need to be able to get a nade down here if they need to. They need to be able to get a nade down here, and especially they need to be able to get a nade to land here and not just roll down. So, I mean, that's not that difficult to learn. You get to learn. Like, I think Jaeger used this spot a lot, so if he was playing back here, he can nade everything from here. You know, you'll learn it real quick. There's no running involved. You just learn the angles and how much you want to walk or whatever. It's easy to learn, but I suggest the B players nades on B is incredibly strong because you can oftentimes figure out where they are. If your balcony guy won balcony, then I mean he can single out so much stuff. You know, you should start talking already. Like, if you should obviously already tell him that you're blocked on B, but otherwise he's like, "Are you blocked on B?" And you're like, "Yeah." Well, he's not. And then where is he? And then maybe you already know where he is, and then you can nade him or you can help each other. Or maybe this guy sees some head peeking up, and then you call it, he's window, inside window, and then this guy should be able to throw a nade over there. So just saying the B guys, they should practice these nades, and they're not difficult. It's just you gotta learn them. So when it comes to the heat of the battle, you should be able to just pull it out and do it real quick. Okay. When it comes to a few how to play on Alpha and Charlie on the cap points, from my experience and what I like is try to avoid middle alpha as much as possible. I'm talking any time in the round, mainly now mid round and late round when you want to cap something. Try to avoid middle alpha. It's pretty bad. The only time you want to sit in here is when you want the utmost proactivity you can possibly have on a point. So with proactivity, I know I mentioned this to a few other, is what I like to have on a point, which is basically as soon as I get blocked, I am in a proactive spot, so I could kill him as soon as I possibly can. On Alpha, there is no real such spot, because they could technically block from short, and there's no way for you to watch short and not get blocked from the other short, and there's no way to watch like this short and not get blocked. So the best way to do that is simply stay in the fucking middle of Alpha. I'm not saying this is a good idea, but now you're as proactive as you can possibly be. You can't get blocked from balcony, that's impossible, because you'll kill them when they come through, or they kill you. You can't get blocked from long, that's impossible. You can only get blocked from the two shorts. But there's still no way to know which short. I'm just saying this is the most proactive. The least proactive spot you can kind of use is something like this. The only thing, unless you hear sound clues and shit, you really know nothing. You only know that they're not on your short. You do not know if it's here, if you came from this door, this door, this door, or long. So that's just something I want to talk about. So mid is bad to be in unless you want to be really proactive. So if you have to clutch like 1v4, if you go on short, I think Alpha Ministry is the most difficult place to clutch on, because it's extremely difficult to. It's extremely easy to block. So if the enemy's smart and he knows that you are the only one left, and he got teammates alive, all he's got to do is to get into a corner, you have to pre-fire it. And if he got the right peak, then yeah, you pre-fire. So that comes to the second thing. If you can stay on the Incendiary side, that's also positive, because right peaks are so important on Ministry Alpha. Very, very important. Obviously, if you got the right peak here, you can kill this guy. If you're on the security side, it's not really as safe to peek middle like this. So try to be on the Incendiary side if you got the option. You know, if you get through the middle and you got the option to run to both, run to Incendiary side. Try not to get into any of these corners. If you're gonna stay on short, then that's why you see people sitting like this, because now they lock down this, and they can hopefully hear people come from here. So they got at least 2 areas locked down. If you're sitting along, now all of a sudden you got 3 areas locked down. You're open from here, but that's a lot of times you're gonna know that they won't come from behind. A lot of times you know that, like, there's no way they could have flanked me this earlier shit. So a lot of times you'll know that your longs should be safe. And now you got 3 areas. They cannot come through balcony, and you should definitely hear them from here. Even if you don't, you can easily right pick this. So now you got 3 areas. So it's all about holding as many areas as you can if you need a cap, like you badly need it because your team is down, basically. On Charlie, it's much easier to, like that's the most difficult spot in there. I hate that spot. Like I think that I'm a very good cap, like playing on the caps, but I do not like playing on Ministry. There's no way to play perfectly, basically. But down here it is a few spots where you can literally almost have control of everything, and especially around the ticket booth, which some of you might think like, what the fuck, that's a shitty spot. But it's kind of good to sit here as security. If you have baited this and then you get a kill by someone running through, do not stay on your side, because first of all, if you get flanked, it's gonna be easier for them to kill you if you're like sitting back at the container, just coming around here. And second of all, most of the time they are not gonna actually block you from your side with a flank. Oftentimes they're gonna like have a guy drop down here, or someone just coming for their spawn. Maybe they respawn and try to block you from spawn. And the best, like a good thing with this spot is that you can watch this, and as soon as you block, you instantly turn up and look at this, and now you know that you're not blocked from any of these 2. And after that, you can decide kind of on the probability of if you should have come from our spawn or our spawn or their spawn. So you just peek one of these. You either peek this and you know he's not there, or you peek this and you know he's not there. And you can technically peek this one without exposing yourself to that. So you can still stay at the pillar and you'll see any kind of shit here unless you slid on and went prone. And then you can just turn around, and as I said, they can't be there. So the most difficult part is just if they came through these stairs. But that's on your side, so it's extremely rare that they will ever block you from here. Unless it's super late game and everything is just turned around and nobody knows which spawn is which anymore. So, but otherwise you're less likely going to be blocked from here, never really from there, very rarely from here, pretty common from here, pretty common from there, pretty common from there. So, but sitting in the middle like this, you can instantly get view, especially on the 2 most important areas, which are always going to be these. Another good spot is just holding back a little bit, and just now you got view on these two as well. And you're really dark, so the extra flick that you'll have to do that usually like compensates for that he has to look at all these areas, so he won't really pre-aim you at this spot. So sure, you can't. Well, I mean, you can just sit and look at one as well, and then just flick to the other. But I like to hold the middle. It's usually enough time to flick anyway. They won't react to you this fast. And as soon as you blocked, you can look. If you came through there, you'll see him. You can maybe see container from here if they run through. Otherwise, you got a pretty nice right peek on the guys coming around. So these practice spots are pretty important, and Charlie's really nice in that way. So if you capped it, think of where you want to go as fast as you possibly can before they'll get on to block you again, maybe. And Bravo is a totally different thing because that's a Bravo point, and it's hard to play them proactive. It's not the same deal at all. I'm talking about Alpha and Charlie because those are more individual most of the time. Overall, just playing here is a lot more dangerous than playing here. In my opinion, it's usually easier to stay alive on this side. So if you just have to anchor it and you just need to stay alive, it's usually a better idea to try to get to this side. In any way. I mean, Live knows Bravo better than I do these days, at least. So, but you agree with me, right? It's better in some way to move towards the windows on both sides. So
that's why I said, like, I'll go R1 at the start because I'm playing aggro, and then if like most of my team dies, straight to R3.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good way to hold control over reception and a little bit on balcony as well. You can see them as well. But otherwise, playing here is a lot safer. You won't get naded as easily and shit like that. And you got more options of like jumping outside and even pushing to their side without getting fucked by balcony. Like once you're here, you're here. You can't really move out of here that easily. You can't just start running like this, you know. So out here, you can actually do that. You can start moving up. So windows is a bit safer. Okay, someone else can jump in. I got a message, and I'm pretty done anyway. Wait, I mean, obviously I got more stuff probably, but that's the most important things.
So what is the plan for the meeting, guys?
That's pretty much it until Kinetic
Okay.
wants to scrim us. We can go
I'm gonna go
strats
grab
and
some
stuff if you
food,
guys want
guys.
to.
Okay, Murdoch is not in a game at the moment. Wooly asked me if mind if I help. Do you guys mind if Wooly come in?
No. Get him on.
Cool. I mean,
I'll be back in a bit, guys.
Cool.
Sherry, your M4 M16 looks like a mix out of AKS, AKM, and M16.
Sorry, say that again.
Your weapon is glitched out, so it looks like a
Ah.
mix of M16, AKS, and AKM for me.
It's not glitched out for me.
Not for me either.
now Wooly is he's gonna have much more insight than I do, so I think that would be a good idea.
Yeah.
Hey, Wooly,
Oh, hey, what's up?
you can join on the server.
Yeah.
And meanwhile,
Alive. Are you playing for both teams?
I was until the DGL should actually started up, so I guess if I'm told that I can't do both, then I can't do both.
If we can get the playoff match done, there's probably not going to be an NA season until January after this one's over. So maybe once the playoffs are done, we can switch you over. If they're, if you want to do that, then you could probably play for them too.
Okay.
and you can still be on Armada.
Yeah.
It's not going to be an official match, so you can still swim
Right.
with them and should be on the team.
All right. So there's not going to be another match for a few months, and usually there's nothing going on holidays. I was up on the server though.
Yeah, we went on. If you could just, I don't know, you can talk whatever you want, Wooly, but obviously we already talked quite a lot about it, so maybe you double up and stuff. But someone can mention it then. Wait, we got a mission now. Scream on station if you want from Murdoch.
Just play
Yep.
them on, or not we, but I'll just pug Shrimp Kinetic on District. It was me, Intrigue, Master,